some nice stuff today to talk about. Type of stuff that falls between counterpoint and harmony. That's why it's pretty rare to see it written in harmony or counterpoint books. Very, very relevant to everything we're playing today in contemporary music. Hey guys. This is G major. I'm designing some sounds running the Blowfield, my favorite synthesizer, through some modular stuff. For me, kind of the stuff that I like sonically, and combining it with piano. Destrega. Yes. I feel it was created for me. Thank you. Hey Antonio. Yep. So my favorite song on synth. One of them is Dalton Lee by Pat Metheny and Lyle. It's an album from, I believe, 1985. Still everything is analog and fantastic. George Winston, wow. So, guys, the stuff that I wanted to talk about today, as I started by saying that it's something that falls between harmony, camera, harmony, and counterpoint. Um, in counterpoint, you learn how to be specific about certain elements, and in harmony, in a typical harmony book, they try to cover so much. So there's some stuff that is not talked about, and we're going to talk about some of it today. Of course, it's going to sound familiar to you, but it's nice to bring it to a level of to a conscious level. So very, very simple stuff, but I said pro level because either the musicians who do that, they could be aware of that, or in the case of something ultra musical like Paul McCartney, he's going to do that intuitively. But in any case, they do it. So I'm going to show you what it is. Let's see. Let's move the chat over here to the right. Yeah, now I can see the piano. So this is G major, right? And when someone says G major, we know that this is the chord. This is the tonic, the third, and the fifth, and maybe G major 7 or G major 9. And then there's the whole subject of how to voice these chords. So a beginner is going to play it this way. With this shape. Later on, you learn that you could connect, for example, A major 7 with C major 7, like that. Excuse me. You learn that these two chords share. A major 7 has this E, and C major also has this E, and you decide to keep this E on top, so you just play. You can even play this without the root in this case, and to C major 7, and you learn to do this type of stuff. Voicing, you learn to connect chords. This is the kind of stuff that you learn in harmony lessons. You learn that when you're moving from G major 7 to C major 7, the 7 of the G typically moves down. Why is that? Because it used to be a passing tone, and sometime in the 18th century, musicians started playing this straight from the 7, but still moving the right way to down to E. Okay. Hey Donato. So you say, I think Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays use upper extensions sparingly, which is part of what makes it more special. They use a lot of chord extensions. They just use it in a very, very musical way. They understand the context of it, and this is exactly what we're going to talk about. So we learn this in harmony books. I'm going to show you what we don't learn usually in harmony books, and this has to do with counterpoint. It's super important. So what about this C major? Okay, let's talk about this G. Let's talk about C major. Okay, move the idea to C major. So what about this C major? We call it C. Some people call it C add 2, add 9. Some people call it 9, major 9. There are lots of names to that. The language of chords is constantly evolving. the way musicians used to talk about chords in the 80s in Berkeley is different from the way some of them are talking about it now. Anyways, but this is C9, and you're noticing that I'm not playing the E here. I could, but I'm not. Okay, so what this is a C chord in the key of G major as the 4th degree. Moving to G. Now, why am I playing over the C these two notes? And here comes the counterpoint part of it. You could think of these two notes as already being in G, and the bass note, the voice, this voice, counterpoint wise, is doing this independent motion to C, while these two are remaining in place, still playing the G. So is it a C chord at all? That's the question. Is it not just a G with the motion of the bass to the 4th degree and then back to G? And this affects the way I'm playing the chord. Okay. Now, when I'm playing this, the C major chord in the key of C major, that's a different story. I could, let's play a little bit in C major to get the feeling of the key. Okay, here the tendency is to start the chord, the 1, in a more stable position with an octave, and then the other chords are going to add. We could also start the C with an E, and when I'm going to the 4th degree, F, I could keep this E on top, and I could support with this voice moving up, or I could just keep it. I could play this chord like that, the C chord. Okay, so if we are looking at it from the perspective of chords, this is going to be some kind of an F major without the 3 with 7, major 7 and 9. But if we're looking at it from a counterpoint perspective, all I'm doing, I'm keeping the C with these 3 voices do what they do. They just sing, continuing to sing the notes of C major, and it's just the bass that is doing this motion. Let's try other notes. Let's try, for example, D. I said pro level. I said pro level, because it takes this, as I said, either you know this type of stuff consciously, or you do it subconsciously, or you do it intuitively. That's the word. When Paul McCartney grabs a guitar and he's playing these voices, it's gonna sound probably on this level of accuracy when it's coming to the voice. That's why it sounds so good. So my question here is, when I'm moving to C major 7 from C chord, moving to F, should we call it, I mean, is it at all an F chord? Or is it C chord with some motion? Hamilton is saying, thank you for starting your lessons later. I am already performing when you have them earlier. And oh, great. So great, Hamilton. Okay, so we had 2 examples of these things. Right now I'm playing just C major without the 3. The notes of C. How about some Pat Metheny? About Paul McCartney, I recommend the album Driving Rain. All songs are amazing. What year is this album from? Anyways, the other thing I wanted to talk about, it's old. Yep. Yes, I love the early albums. This one. This one is a story. Teddy Boy. I think it's G. No, actually it's not minor 7. Okay, we have to be accurate. Singing the E sings the 7. So I'm not gonna play it as an A minor 7. I'm gonna let the melody just touch on the 7. I don't want to be rude and play the 7 the whole time. That's gonna be rude. This is an old Paul McCartney. This is an old Paul McCartney song from one of the very, very first album, the post-Beatles album.
Something like that. Fantastic song. Okay, so to sum up this part of the video, okay, I got a question before that. Hey guy, I've been trying to understand the melodic style of Metheny solos. Ooh. I have a grasp of his pentatonic style. So may it secretly begin. Yes. What scales should I look for on you? Are you going with me? So pretty off topic, but you seem to have. Okay, so we'll get to that. I just want to sum up the first section of this live video. I was talking about just a C major chord that I happen to play without the 3, and I'm adding 9. And this might even be the first chord of a song, but the secret here is that this chord probably is not in the song is not in C major, even though the first chord of the song is C. C as the 4th degree of G. But we know this type of, talking about 4th degree tonic. This is how we learn harmony. The problem is, usually when we say 4th degree, we're thinking about a C major chord. And theoretically, this C major chord as the 4th degree of G is now no different than the C major chord in the key of C major, where it is the tonic. Now we are in F major. Notice how every time I'm trying to talk about a certain scale, I try to establish it in your ear to do some little bit of a progression, and I'm deliberately doing something with F because this is exactly the note that we don't have in G major. So I'm establishing this sound of C major for you guys and for myself using this F. But anyways, theoretically, they are not going to tell us about any difference between this type of C major and this type of C major, and the C major as the 4th degree of G. It's just the progression, the whole progression, that's going to reveal for us the fact that we are not in C, we're in G. We're going to get to so now we understand that the C at the beginning was not the home chord, it was G. Okay, this is the stuff that we learn in harmony books. And but then it comes to the level of Keith Jarrett, the level of Pat Metheny, the level of Paul McCartney playing his guitar, just choosing the right notes, the way he does. So my point was that when C is the 4th degree in the key of G, when he's not the boss, okay, what I did here was to tackle the subject from a counterpoint point of view. I had several voices here, and I said to these upper 2, hey guys, you're gonna play the G, and the soprano lady is gonna sing a D. Okay, that's for the. So these 2 may ask, yeah, but what about the B? So, wait, it's okay. For now, it's enough. Now, at some moment, the bass is gonna move to C, but these 2 are gonna keep singing the notes of G major or the tonic, and as a result, we're getting this
unusual C that doesn't have E and has D in it, add D, but yet it sounds so natural. Now, let's see an example. Close to You. What do you think is the first important note of Close to You? This is a song in G major, but Bert Bacharach, hard to pronounce, he's playing it, he's starting it with C major. It could be confusing if you're not aware of that, because you're saying, okay, that must be in C major, but how come I have this B after it? What is it? Then you start, some of us, including me, maybe it's the 5 of E, which is the 3, trying to explain that. Not thinking, sometimes not considering that maybe this C major is not the tonic at all. Maybe it's just a 4th degree. Now, what is the percentage of songs or and pieces of music that don't start with a tonic? I don't know, maybe 10%, maybe less. But it does happen sometimes. So you see, we talked about this chord, and this is exactly the focal point of the melody. Exactly. Where is the E of the C major? There's no E. He's giving this spicy in the melody there. But basically, it's this thing, okay? And yeah, another songwriter who knows that intuitively or not or consciously, I don't know, but what's important is he knows this. Okay, so let's do some questions now. That's why I said it's a pro level thing, because but it's not yet. I mean, I'm saying pro level, but if you're thinking of it, it makes a lot of sense sonically, and you've heard it so many times. So, you're welcome to explore this, and we're gonna be talking about it more. Okay, Pat Metheny. I've been trying to understand the melodic style of Pat Metheny. In Close to You, the D on top resolved up to a step to E. Where? Close to You. Where's the E? Okay, so we had have you ever done any work with the Barry Harris method? Yes. When I was 21, I went to I was lucky to meet in Tel Aviv, Israel, one of Barry's students. She is a singer, and she learned piano with Barry, and it was amazing. And she taught me I took, I think, like 6 months of lessons with her, and she showed me the basics of the Barry method. Yeah, Barry Harris method, including all types of chromatic descending. And I got to meet with Barry in Madrid, Spain, and to be in one of his workshops, and it was great. I love him. Apart from his teaching, I love him as a pianist. He's incredible. So we had a question about Pat Metheny melodic. What was that? The melodic style. I recently rewatched the interview with Rick Beato. and I heard Pat talking about some interesting things about melody. So I'll try to talk about two things that he's talking about. Well, first of all, you're asking about, are you going with me? Are you going with me? What keys are you going with me? Let's say it's D minor. I'm not sure. Okay, sounds familiar. I mean, consider what we talked about before, that he's keeping the same notes for the D and for the B flat. Is it really a B flat, or is it some kind of a D minor scale thing with a motion to the 6, more of a counterpoint thing, and back? Well, when it comes to oh, this is important. So why use chords? Okay, if I'm saying that it's not a real, if a B major chord can change, why use chords? We use chords as a mean of communication between musicians. Lyle Mays gave an excellent example. He said, if you know the Eiffel Tower, I can draw you the Eiffel Tower on a napkin, and you're going to know that it is the Eiffel Tower. You're going to recognize the building. The thing is, if if I'm an architect and I'm trying to show you a new building I'm designing, I'm working on, and I'm trying to show you this building on a napkin with the same type of drawing, you're never gonna be able to even come close to understanding what this building is gonna be about. How tall is it gonna be? How big? You know? But it works when you already know the building. Same with music. If Pat Metheny is showing Lyle Mays the chords, or maybe they've been working on a new piece that came up just before the show. They were jamming, and all of a sudden, oh, that's nice. So next time he's going to say, oh yeah, that's the D minor B flat thing. Oh yeah. And then he's going to execute it on the piano. Yeah, this is how it went. But for us, when we're trying to be accurate about it, and this has to do with the scales that you're looking for, okay? To look at it as, it's going to be a mistake to look at this thing as a D minor scale and B flat major scale. Because, for example, is this going to be a B flat with E flat? Or is it going to be... is it going to be B flat Lydian? Well... so it's going to be B flat Lydian. But, that's overcomplicating something, which is the whole thing, it belongs to D minor. Here I'm thinking D minor. And here I'm changing to B flat. So first of all, this is very important when it comes to what scales the general scales are going to be. Now, Pat Metheny is following the tradition of Bach of being able to describe the chord he's in without the need of piano accompaniment. You can hear Pat playing just melodies, and you're going to know what chord he's doing. Because, for example, say James. Okay, so here if he's gonna rely on the piano and just partly playing the harmonies, it's not gonna work. What he loves doing is what Bach did, and that's why he's saying that he practices for hours and hours whenever he's learning a new tune. He's gonna do something. Yeah, I'm trying to describe the chords, but not playing them vertically, but melodically. So this is very this is central part of how he plays. So what's going to happen, the pianist who plays with him doesn't have to play the harmonies for him. He can play, add some rhythm, add some texture, but Pat Metheny is totally in charge of describing the harmony. How do you learn that? A good source, for example, is... Oh, sorry. Sorry. A good source... That was scary. A good source is playing Bach. Because Bach used to do it his whole life. To play just melody that describes chords. Okay? It's so full of harmony, even though there's no bass. I've already gave this example. What happens with the Pat Metheny example, I can, if I wanted to improvise on this piece, I will have to do exactly what Pat is doing, and maybe even a lot more, and that would be to practice. Like that. So that's part of his harmonic playing. So we said two things. The first one, in Are You Going With Me, he's going to have a clear picture of the modes that he's playing, and the melody itself gives us a hint about this. It's a D minor. Another example, why is this B flat major 7 with sharp 11? Some people would call it flat 5, but it's okay. Sharp 11. When is the right time to use this extension? Well, one example would be as the 6th degree of D minor. Maybe not that much as, I mean, not maybe, for sure not that much if we're in the key of B flat major. Now I'm in the key of B flat major. If I use this, someone's gonna say for sure, you're not in B major, you're in B. Lydian, B flat Lydian. But when I'm in D minor, see how natural this E sounds all of a sudden? That's Lyle Mays. My right hand doesn't even know that there's a motion here to the B flat. Doesn't care. D minor. And suddenly I'm playing this chord. If you're just thinking of chords, you're gonna say, oh, this is some kind of D11 sus, I don't know. At this moment, when I'm in D minor, that's my world. And all I'm doing, I'm just playing in D minor. Now this same stuff could work see how beautiful this chord all of a sudden. When was the last time you played this? In this context of D minor, it works. D minor, no F, no need for an F right now. Metheny. Okay. אסף, למה התכוונת? My old friend Asaf Dekel is in the house. Okay, so that was my point. We saw several examples of how to voice chords according to the scale. The C was part of G. That's why we played it without an E. Typical equation. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so that was this kind of a C chord in the G area. So, and we saw it in okay, we saw it here in Whitey Bird. And then we had this example of from D minor saw the use of these three notes for the D and for the B flat, and we said that in this situation this B flat major 7 sharp 11 sound extremely natural to the situation. also said that if we try to divide this sequence into two different scales, that would be awkward, because then we would have to say, okay, so what do we have? We have D minor, and then we have B flat. No, we don't have this E flat, so it's going to be B flat leading. So instead of just thinking in two scales, think much more natural is to think in D minor with the bass counterpoint wise, moving to the B and back. Okay. This is how Bach operates in general, because he's going to do a lot more with the bass. He's going to play some melodies and stuff, and here he's going to have some activities. But in general, he's going to stay in the area of D minor. Okay. Talking too much. So, guys, do you have any more questions for me for today? Yeah, that was Are You Going With Me? Thank you. So the selection of notes that we hear in the great bands with musicians, top level musicians, is these types of selections. Or they don't think separate chords, they think about the context. We're going to be talking about it a lot, because this is not actually adding more knowledge. This is not about adding more complexity to harmony. It's actually simplifying harmony. Harmony is way simpler than what people tend to make of it. Okay, what we, I have another analogy today. Sometimes people are trying to take a picture of a trip to Paris, and this, as much as these pictures are valuable in reminding us of magical moments of the trip, they cannot, for someone who hasn't been there, it's not gonna bring. We have to show him a movie, and not just pictures. And chords, in a way, are pictures, photos of the stream of music. Could you talk more about their chord progression that change harmonic field often? Pedro, give me an example of a tune. Yes, it's all about the context, yeah. Pedro, could you talk more about their chord progressions that change harmonic fields often? Give me that would be good to have an example of a piece of music. Maybe I know it. Here's a great example by Chick Corea. So he's gonna do something like that in D minor. So Chick is gonna, for me, he's still going to explore more. For him, D minor is everything. Is the chord in the Way Up Part 1. Just want to show this Chick Corea example. So he's gonna play. He played on D minor, and then did the same thing with B flat. Brasilia from Lyric Suite for Sextet. So, for example, the chord changing in the way up part 1. Do you mean the ones that start from A minor? I think we're going to dedicate another live to this. But I want you to be more specific, Pedro, about your question. What is exactly that you're trying to 251 Lyle Mays. But again, I just want to say to Pedro, for next time, we're going to do another live next week, exactly same time, 18 GMT. So I want you to, to be more specific about the question, because it's a huge piece and it has a lot of stuff in it. What happened there is that they wanted to work with this. Now here comes the first interesting chord. So here we can see an E minor with 11. But this is not an E minor 11 that much. It's part of the... This is what happens if you're playing a pentatonic melody. What a phenomenal logic in these key changes. Say, yeah, okay. So let's talk about next time. I'm gonna try to find Pedro some things to say about it. I don't like to leave it like oh, it's just genius stuff, or but to try to get into that, and we'll try to come to some conclusion next time. Okay, I want to thank you guys for watching this. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too, that you got some value out of it. Did you? You can tell me in the chat. Yeah, T455. Yeah, definitely. It's similar to JSBach. Yeah, but yeah, we'll try to be a bit more specific than that. Thanks. Could you point to books or material to study that? Sure, Pedro. What I have the full score of The Way Up. I got it from Pat's website. I think it costs something like $20 or so, and I got it, and it has everything in it. What I'm doing here on the piano, I played it enough to be able to come up with some kind of an arrangement, but you really don't have to. You can play the chords are wonderfully written there, like note by note, and you can learn that and get wonderful impression of what it is. It's a fantastic source of studying material. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again, and I'll be seeing you next time, 18 GMT. We're gonna talk more about this kind of stuff that I haven't seen a lot on the web or even books talking about this. As I said, this is it's somewhere between counterpoint and harmony. The really good harmony teachers knows this type of stuff, but I'm not sure. Maybe privately they're teaching that, but it's not very common. And things. When you think about check my friend, if you have time, he did the successor of Lyle for me. Thinking of further lesson, sure. Nicola, could you? Yeah, I'll try to check it out. Thanks, Donato. Thanks, everybody. You're welcome, Carol, and see you next time. Bye bye. Now I have to press the finish button. Ciao. Bye.